Good evening, visitors, and welcome to the Australian War Memorial's last post ceremony. My name is Sharon Bown, and joining us this evening from the Royal Australian Air Force is leading aircraftsman Simon Tapley. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. We acknowledge the members of RSL and Services Clubs Association, RSL Victoria and RSL Queensland, who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the pool of reflection by visitors to the memorial. If you are able, do you please stand and join in singing the national anthem.
Australians, oh, let us rejoice, for we are one and free. We've golden soil and wealth for toil, our home is girt by sea. Our land abounds in nature's gifts, all beauty rich and rare. In history's page let every stage advance Australia fair. In joyful strains that let us sing, advance Australia fair.
Those requiring a seat, please be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 102,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first we present a lament. Flowers of the forest. Wreaths and floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the pool of reflection.
Today, we remember and pay tribute to Private William Edward Brudelin. William Brudelin was born on the 12th of July, 1896 in Aberdeen, New South Wales, one of 7 children born to William and Louisa Brudelin. He received his education at Aberdeen Public School and was heavily involved in the local Methodist Church. On completion of his schooling, Brudelin gained employment at Singleton Railway Yards, where he worked as a railway cleaner. Before the outbreak of war, Brudelin had served in the Senior Cadets and the Citizen Forces. Brudelin did not delay his enlistment, signing up for active service at the outbreak of the war in August 1914, aged just 19. He was assigned to the 2nd Battalion and embarked from Sydney on the 18th of October aboard the troop ship Suffolk, bound for Egypt. The 2nd Battalion reached Egypt in December 1914. Brudelin and his comrades participated in the landing at Gallipoli on the 25th of April 1915. Brudelin became ill and was sent to Cairo to recover before rejoining his unit at Gallipoli in June. In August, Brudelin survived the infamous charge at Lone Pine, in which Australians suffered more than 2,000 casualties. After the Allied evacuation of Gallipoli at the end of the year, Brudelin and his comrades headed to France to fight on the Western Front. Brudelin's first major action in France took place at the Battle of Pozières in July 1916. The German forces had a distinct advantage around Pozières, holding the high ground from which they launched devastating attacks. The offensive at Pozières took place over 42 days, where Australians made as many as 19 separate attacks against German positions. During one attack, Brudelin was badly wounded, receiving gunshot wounds to his arms and abdomen. Australian divisions succeeded in capturing Pozières on the 5th of August, but not without tremendous cost. By the end of that battle, Allied casualties totaled a staggering 23,000 men captured, wounded, or killed. After the battle, Brudelin was sent to England to recover from his injuries. He spent several months in England before rejoining his battalion in France in January 1917. The 2nd Battalion was heavily involved in the fighting on the Ypres salient for much of 1917. By September, plans were well underway to attack the German defensive position at Polygon Wood. Polygon Wood was a significant landmark on the Ypres salient and an essential part of Allied attempts to take Passchendaele Ridge. By 1917, the wood had been reduced to burnt stumps. German forces had fortified the area with concrete blockhouses, barbed wire, and an observation post on the high ground, making Polygon Wood a treacherous target for advancing troops. On the 20th of September, the 2nd Battalion was moved to the front line and given its objectives for the impending attack. Brudelin was assigned to work in the lines as a stretcher bearer. Despite heavy enemy resistance, Australian soldiers secured the observation post and took Polygon Wood by the end of the day. The enemy launched numerous unsuccessful counterattacks, which caused the fighting to continue until early October. More than 20,000 Allied casualties were sustained during that battle alone. Among the dead was William Brudelin. While helping carry a wounded comrade in the support trenches, Brudelin was hit by a shell and badly wounded. Comrades attempted to move him to the relative safety of an aid post when he was hit again by shrapnel, mortally wounding him. Private William Brudelin, Private Walker, described Brudelin's condition, saying, "He was very badly wounded in the head and side, and his 2 legs were off. By the time I found him, he was already dead." Private William Brudelin was 22 years old. His friend, Private Morgan, wrote to his bereft parents to console them in their grief, writing, "It is with a sad heart that I, a total stranger, sit down to write these lines concerning the death of your dear son and my dearest friend and true comrade, Will, who paid the supreme sacrifice. He fell in the execution of his duty as a stretcher bearer, that nobly self-sacrificing task which, as you know, he has followed ever since leaving Australia. The poor boy passed away at our regimental age post, unconscious of all pain, and into the arms of the Father. His name is revered throughout the regiment as one who lived up to the true ideals of a soldier, fearless, brave, and never a thought of personal danger when he knew his comrades were in distress and needed assistance. He went and did his duty nobly and well, until in the end, the great Father called him home to that land where war and pain are known not. A cross was erected above his grave by his comrades who mourn the loss of one who can never be replaced in our hearts. Private William Brutalin was buried near where he fell. His final resting place was lost during subsequent fighting, and his remains were never recovered. Today, he is commemorated on the Menin Gate Memorial to the Missing in Ypres. His name is listed on the Roll of Honour on my right, amongst almost 62,000 Australians who died while serving in the First World War. A photograph of his name listed on the Menin Gate Memorial is displayed today beside the Pool of Reflection. This is but one of many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Private William Edward Brutalin, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the Ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall not grow old, as we who are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them. Lest we forget.
We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozières or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. We thank you all for visiting the Australian War Memorial, and we wish you all a very good evening. Thank you.